Is it a catastrophic failure of government? Yes, it absolutely is. And it's a tragedy for both nurses and patients. But what's more, I think the government's tactics have been incredibly underhand. The government has used really dodgy figures, misleading figures, to claim that it can't give a pay rise to workers.
Like what?
Well, they claimed it was going to cost £28 billion, and the Institute for Fiscal Studies called that a dodgy number, because actually it's more like half of that, right? So they're using overinflated numbers to try and make their point. I think that's a really underhand tactic by the government. The government has also refused to negotiate on pay, which I think is incredibly underhand, and the government continues to argue that it can't interfere in the so-called independent pay review body. Now, aside from the fact that it isn't really independent because it has its hands tied, it's given the envelope by the government, aside from that point, the government simultaneously claims it can't interfere in this so-called independent process, whilst at the same time it did interfere in that process when it came to the train strikes, and the train bosses and the train workers actually agreed a deal that could have seen off the strikes on the trains this Christmas, but the government intervened and blocked that deal. So the underhand tactics from this government, I think, are utterly disgraceful, and it's the public who are going to suffer.